Hi everybody, this is the Opinionated Science Educator and welcome to my first video on science process skills. When looking at process skills, I use the grade 9 natural science CAPS document, but these process skills are applicable to all science students. So whether you're in grade 8 or grade 12, these videos are for you. In this first video, I look at what are the different process skills, and from the onset, I want you to realize that process skills relate to the doing of science, whether it is the practical skills related to measuring and reading instruments, or recording data, or communicating data, or accessing information to help develop your hypothesis and so on. All of these skills relate to actually doing work like a scientist. So I hope you enjoy the series of videos in this channel.
Science is more than a body of facts that you learn at school. Science is a way of doing. Science is a way of knowing. So science is a systematic way of looking for explanations and connecting ideas we have. So science uses certain methods of inquiry and investigation that are generally used by all scientists. So clearly that shows you that science includes a range of various skills. Those skills are called the process skills, and these are the skills that this series of videos will be looking at. Those skills are things like formulating a hypothesis, designing and carrying out experiments to test the hypothesis, repeating the investigation, carefully examining and debating the results before they are accepted. Those are all the methods of science. From the onset, I want you to realize that that process of science is not just a Western thing. Okay, in every culture, people would not have been able to survive if they did not learn about the natural world. So they did make careful observations. People recognized regular patterns in seasons, in the life cycles of plants and the behavior of animals. And all of that was incorporated into the culture of our forefathers. And that is often what is called indigenous knowledge. But that means that science as a process has been carried out by all people because everyone had to observe what was going around them. They had to observe in order to survive and ensure that they understood the natural world around them. Now, these science process skills are a range of skills that can also be used in everyday life, in your community and the workplace. So learning these skills is good. They help develop your ability to think objectively, to use a variety of reasoning skills. And as I said, these process skills are all about doing science. And it's not just the experiments. It's a range of other skills that are developed. You learn your observation skills, knowing how to examine something closely, using your senses to see them, viewing them from different angles, looking at the small details, looking at the subject as a whole, deciding if you need to use tools to help making your observation, and then recording those observations using words, numbers, pictures. Now, the approach to science is actually a social aspect. So by the social learning, you learn to collaborate, to work with others, to share responsibility, to listen to their views, to show them empathy, and to demonstrate leadership skills and resolve conflict. So the processes of science, as I said, are observing, classifying, inferring, measuring, communicating, hypothesizing, predicting, experimenting, and knowing how to do this with a controlled investigation to identify variables and so on. So the process skills of science are useful not only in science, but in other aspects of your everyday life too. So they support creativity, they support responsibility, and will help you grow in confidence. So let's now look at these skills in detail. Firstly, they are cognitive skills. Cognitive skills are about learning and putting information together. And they are the practical process skills, the doing of science, the practical work, investigation, and so on. But the process skills are not only about the practical skills. As I said, they are cognitive skills. So the first is accessing and recalling information. being able to use a variety of sources to acquire information, ways to acquire that information quickly, and then to remember those facts and key ideas and to build a conceptual framework or understanding. Then it's about observing and noting in detail objects, organisms, and events. Then it's about comparing those objects or organisms and events, noting the similarities and the differences between things, being able to then classify those things into groups or sorting and classifying, which is why we compare. Then there is the measuring, using a variety of measuring instruments, such as thermometers, clocks and syringes, and then the sorting and classifying, so applying criteria to put things together into a group. Okay, and then it's about identifying problems and issues and being able to articulate those needs to the wants of people and society. Once you've identified the problem, then you raise the question, being able to think of and articulate relevant questions about phenomena, issues, and problems. And then you predict, before you start the investigation, you start predicting what could happen. And then you develop your hypothesis. And your hypothesis is not a guess. It's taking what you already know and thinking of a possible explanation. So a hypothesis uses information you already know to try and explain something new. And then you plan an investigation. You think through the method that you want to use for your investigation. How are you going to measure the various things? How are you going to make sure it's a fair test? Which variables you want to measure? Which variables you need to control. That then is the plan for your investigation. And then we come to the doing investigations, where you carry out your method. You implement your own plan using apparatus and equipment that you have. You collect data by observing and comparing and measuring and estimating carefully, or you sequence things, or you sort and classify them. Sometimes you might need to repeat an investigation, but that then is you implement your plan that you have put together when thinking about a question and a problem you want to solve. That is science. That is what scientists do. So everything that they do before is so that they can do their investigations. Then you record your information from your investigation. You could record that information as a drawing or an observation in a table, as graphs, but you do it in a systematic way. And then when you have that data, then you interpret it. What does this data tell you? Does it answer your question? It could be in the form of maps. You need to be able to interpret this information. Maps, tables, graphs, translate from one form to the other, and then put that into writing, because at the end, you want to communicate what you found. Whether you are using a written report or an oral presentation, or you design a poster or something graphic, but you must communicate what you have found. That is science.
So I hope this video provided you with a good overview of the different process skills. Now, for many of them, they're multifaceted. In other words, for example, drawing graphs, there are different types of graphs to use. So I won't do a video on graphs in one session, but there'll be a number of videos. So if you found this video useful to help you identify what the process skills are, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So thanks for joining me, and until next time, goodbye from the Opinionated Science Educator.